builds endurance, it helps your heart cardiovascularly, it helps your discipline, it helps your sleep. Hello, welcome back to another riveting episode of Circee Health Pod. Today we're continuing our backyard series. Last time we were coming to you from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and today we're coming to you from the suburbs of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in which we are not eating cheesesteaks, but maybe some fun vegan food. Anyway, I digress. As always, we'd like to remind you that our goal in these podcasts is to educate you and empower you so that you can prevent and or bid farewell to chronic health issues permanently. So
Great.
getting into, sorry.
No, go ahead.
So moving on to today's topic, actually we're doing part 1 of 2 yet again, and today we are focusing on ability-appropriate exercises for maximum health benefits. Ajoy, turning it over to you.
Would you like to introduce yourself? Because it's been like 3-4 episodes and we've not really told the audience who we are.
Why not? If you've forgotten, my name is Dr. Ajoy Prabhu. I am the CEO and co-founder of Circee Health. I am a double-boarded medical doctor in both internal medicine, which is the care of adults, particularly with complex diseases, and pediatrics, which of course is the care of kiddos. Ajoy?
And I'm Ajoy Prabhu. I am not the CEO. So I'm the co-founder of Circee Health. And by training, I'm a research pathologist. So I really research the true origin of diseases and what causes diseases, not as much as treatment, which is what we leave to doctors such as Dr. Jenny. So without further ado, let's begin, right?
Yeah.
So age appropriate, or sorry, we keep saying age appropriate, and that's not the appropriate thing to do. What we decided to do was we said, let's just talk about ability appropriate exercises that we can do for maximum health benefit. So the first thing I would like to do is just like talk about what kind of exercises are we talking about? Like, what are the different types of categories of exercises, right? So let's start with the common ones, and then we'll just stick to the common ones because that's what people are used to. The first one is stretching or yoga, and the second one is weight training. The third is this is something I can never pronounce this properly.
I'll say it for you.
Calisthenics.
Yes,
oh, calisthenics. Which is body weight exercise. So where you don't really use weights and just kind of like do exercises with the body weight. And last but not least is aerobic. And we'll go over one by one, right, and kind of give our views on each one of them. And then we'll talk about when to eat, what to eat, tricks to get you motivated, losing weight with exercise, what to drink, other resources that you might find useful. So let's begin.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's start at what should be the beginning of everyone's exercise routine, which I think, Ajoy, you and I are sometimes bad about doing, stretching. If you compare stretching to getting your muscles and your body in general ready for a workout, that's probably a good place to begin. I think about, warming things up. It's kind of like wading your way into a pool, getting your body used to it. Instead of jumping straight into an ice cold pool, you're getting your body in gradually, and so there's less chance of shock, less chance of injury, most importantly with exercise. So if the blood is already flowing and the oxygen is getting to the right places, then there's less chance of injury and less chance of being severely sore afterwards. So that
like me.
Well, like both of us, I guess.
I don't know about you, but do you remember, like, it took me months to get rid of that. So I got into a body stretching exercise. It was not really yoga, but with a little bit of weights. And I just jumped right into it. And I picked up a weight that was not appropriate, I guess, for
your ability at the time.
For my ability at the time.
I'm just going back to our title here.
My ability at the time. And I stretched maybe a tad too much, and unfortunately, some of my muscles went into a spasm, and it took me a good 3 months or so to
recover. This is a plug for all those impatient people like me. So it might be a pain to do a couple minutes of stretching, but if you think about it, Ajoy's example is a good one. If you don't stretch, you can set yourself back sometimes weeks with an injury. So just take the time to stretch and it'll pay off in the end.
Yeah. And before we go into those categories of exercise, let's just keep talking. Oh, how sweet. I don't know what that bird is. But let's just keep talking about what we need to do before the exercises. For example, the drinking. So what should we be drinking before exercising?
Yeah, I guess maybe we can just take them through a good routine.
Yeah, yeah.
So even before you stretch, I guess, make sure you're hydrated. Don't sit and guzzle a gallon of water because that's also shocking your body. So we recommend kind of, let's say you're planning to exercise at 6 a.m. You may need to actually get up at 5 a.m. and start drinking a couple cups of water, a couple ounces,
emptying your bowels.
mLs of water at a time. Not only will that get your muscles and joints limber from the fluid, but it'll also, as Ajoy just mentioned, maybe encourage your body to cleanse itself naturally through your bowels, through your urine, get some of those toxins that have been building up over the day or overnight, depending on when you choose to exercise. So I think getting fluids in is very important.
Yeah, fluids reminds me, some people say that you can have coffee, etc. Try not to overdo it. I mean, yes, coffee is not a bad idea. I remember having just like 2 sips of coffee and then keeping the mug away and then going back and microwaving it. So just a couple of sips of coffee will help in terms of your, feeling a little bit more energized. Yeah, but don't overdo it because, your heart rate is going to go up anyway.
And this is not necessary. Sorry to interrupt. You can just have water. You don't have to have coffee
correct.
Or an energy drink or anything before you exercise.
Definitely not an energy drink. Yeah. Correct.
Because just like Ajoy said, your heart rate's already going to be up. You don't want to start at a higher level.
Yeah.
That could be dangerous.
Right.
Oh, and sorry, here I go again, interrupting my theme. Speaking from a doctor's perspective, always talk to your doctor, to your family doctor, before starting any exercise routine. For various reasons, it may not be safe, it may not be the right time. So make sure you always get an okay from your healthcare professional.
That's true. Very true. What about eating before exercising? How long?
So I think that's a very personal question. In our upcoming podcast, I'll tell you why you most certainly do not need to eat before exercising. In fact, I prefer not to, but that's a whole other subject or 2 or 3 for our following podcast. But yes, if you feel like you need some extra energy, then we recommend some easy to digest calories, simple carbs, simple but healthy carbs. Fruit, I think, is a great addition, or starchy breads, something like that, plain toast, something very bland, nothing too oily, nothing too fried, or nothing fried at all.
Nothing too sweet either.
Nothing too sweet, because you also don't want your blood sugar to go up and crash down when you're exercising. But in most cases, medically, really all you need is water.
Yep, correct. And as far as drink versus eating, we typically recommend that you give a longer period before you start exercising. So at least an hour at the minimum. I go so far as waiting for at least 2 hours before I exercise. Anything in particular about the different types of exercise? Let's go over them. So yoga, for example. Yoga is appropriate for every age group and
yoga
ability
can be
types, right?
Tailored to
beginner, that's the best part.
Moderate, advanced. So that's the great part about yoga. It's I think a great place for anyone's exercise regimen to begin is with yoga, because not only does it build muscle, builds endurance, it helps your heart cardiovascularly, it helps your discipline, it helps your sleep, which in turn helps your exercise. I think that's something we didn't even put on our list of things to talk about. But if you're choosing to do exercise, make sure you're sleeping well, because not getting enough rest will absolutely make your exercise more difficult.
Yeah, and as far as abilities are concerned, now let's talk about the abilities of stretching / yoga exercises. So, for example, people who cannot do too many of these stretching exercises, or they find it tiring, or they just don't have the flexibility anymore. The best, highly recommended is chair yoga. You just Google chair yoga, you'll find tons of resources on the web. You can look
Videos.
at in videos, yeah, YouTube videos are tons of them. I don't think we made any chair yoga videos, but please look them up, and you'll find plenty of resources. For the person who's doing it on a normal basis, our recommendation is, oh, we'll get to the motivation part, right? I mean, in terms of
Yeah,
schedules
that's
and stuff
later
like that.
on.
Okay, we'll talk about that later. Um, for normal yoga, I guess, you just do it normally. And of course, people who have ability to do more advanced yoga, I can tell you from my personal, well, not my personal experience, from experience of another friend of mine, he does nothing but yoga, and he is, how old do you think he is? Maybe like he must be hitting almost 48, 50, and he is muscular, full of muscles, and really built well. And all he does is yoga. He does not do a single bit of weight exercises or running or anything. So yoga can be a phenomenal thing. And I just remember we used to do something called
P90X.
P90X, which was a really like a CrossFit, the today's CrossFit types. And the gentleman who used to do that, he used to do a lot of pull-ups. I mean, 8, 9, 10 pull-ups right in front of our eyes, he could do without a problem. And he said that he could do the pull-ups not because of the fact that he can pick up more weight, but because he does yoga. I still remember his words. So that's, it's important to know that yoga has a lot of benefits.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So moving on to the next category, which is weight training. Kind of like the stereotype with yoga, just like, skinny people walking around and saying "om" all the time. Weight training, I think a lot of people think of big muscular
Yeah.
men in tiny little shorts walking around and eating large hunks of meat. So that is, I mean, of course, coming from us, that is absolutely not true. We could talk for hours about why that is not true, but I think weight training, of course, is important to build muscle, but it's also important to strengthen bones,
Yeah.
which is why I just want to put in a plug for women doing weight training. I'm sure you've heard me ramble about this before, but one of the biggest issues of morbidity or just illness or difficulty with everyday life in older women, and sometimes not even that older women, is osteoporosis, which is weak bones. And the single most important way to prevent that through exercise is weight training. So it doesn't have to be lifting, 60 kilos and bench pressing. You can do as little as 2, 3 kilos. Do it often enough, and your bones will be strengthened from the inside out. And you don't have to worry about, if you trip and fall, breaking your hip, just as an example. So that's for prevention, but also for weight loss. I think I probably mentioned this in our weight loss podcast. If you build up your muscles, then muscles, especially big muscles like your thighs, your buttocks muscles, your abdominal muscles, need to burn a lot of calories to be maintained. So if you have more muscle, you're just burning more calories without any extra work. So big plug for weight loss. Sorry, for weight training for weight loss.
Yeah, and on a practical side, I want to give a little tip for those who do not have any weights, or yeah. First, let me tell you about people don't have that. Not everybody has weights in their houses, but they have big books or grocery bags. So you can, or dal and lentils and stuff like that in bags in their homes.
Uncooked.
Uncooked, yes, uncooked, yes, uncooked. And they weigh a fair bit, and you can just you can tailor the amount of weight that you want to pick up and do that. It's very easy. You can just go to the kitchen and find something
Don't
and
you
pick
want
it.
to share that anecdote, Aju, about when we didn't have weights, when we were
That's
stranded in Puerto
right.
Rico?
That's right.
I'm
Yeah.
sure you
So
want to share it.
yes, I had almost forgotten about that, but it was in the back of my mind. When we were in Puerto Rico, we barely had anything with us. And at that time, what I would do is I would go grocery shopping, come back, or Dr. Jenny would go grocery shopping and bring back our grocery bags. And I would actually keep the groceries in the grocery bag till we actually needed it. Why? Because I could simply use those as weights. And when that was not, well, that was okay for small muscles. For larger muscles, I would use my smaller children. But whatever works for you, you should try to do. And if you don't have weights at all, that's perfectly fine. because we now should move to the next one, which is calisthenics.
Calisthenics.
I got that.
I also want to just, moving back to using small children as weights, please ask their parents if it's okay before you use it.
If you're the parent, please be very careful.
Yes.
Don't. Yeah.
So calisthenics, I think, even though I can pronounce it better, you can talk more or speak more to the health benefits. Yeah. So why don't you go for it?
So think about calisthenics as simply like, for example, doing push-ups, right? I mean, those who are able to do push-ups. So again, we're talking about ability appropriate. So let's go back again and talk about ability appropriate exercises. So people who cannot do calisthenics, well, they're not very strong. You can do simple correct. That's right. We want you to be stronger. So when you're not strong enough, what you can do is simply start with very simple stuff. For example, you sit and keep your feet about maybe 4 or 5 inches away from the chair. Distance. In an upright position on a chair, and just simply get up
without using your hands.
Without using your hands, and sit back down. Get up and sit back down, and you can do this as many times as you can till such time as you start feeling a little burning in your legs and thigh muscles, and then you stop that exercise for about a minute or 2 minutes, and then do it again. Do that 3 times. So that's the easiest one you can do.
Probably even easier than that is simply walking upstairs, right?
I don't know, is it?
I think so. I mean, it's a little difficult to stand up out of a chair for a lot of people without using your hands.
And also they can use the handrail.
Yeah, so I mean, we're talking about modifying the squat, which I think most people know about. So if going up and down stairs is still using your quadriceps muscles, those big muscles I was talking about before. So start with that, and then you'll start getting stronger, and then you can move to the chair squats, which is what Ajoy was describing, and then doing your own squats. And I hate squats. I still hate squats, but I probably see the most benefit doing squats on a regular basis than honestly from most exercises. So that's a great one to do.
Yeah, and also people who don't be afraid of doing things like push-ups and stuff like that. When I say push-ups, don't immediately jump to conclusions that I'm talking about push-ups on the floor. You can do push-ups against a wall. So stand really close to the wall, maybe about a foot away from the wall, and just push the wall. And then get back, lean back on the wall and push the wall again. Do that as many times till you start feeling a little burning sensation in your arms, the upper arms and chest. Stop. Wait for 2 minutes. 2 minutes is perfectly fine for you to wait. Do it again. And then again, when you feel burning, this time you'll feel the burning a little sooner. Stop. Again, wait for 2 minutes.
And don't we have some handy dandy videos that show how to do some of these exercises?
Yeah, but I think they may not be as ability appropriate. So I think maybe they are. I don't remember. Maybe they do. So please look up our YouTube channel, and there are some. Just type in Circee Health and then type exercise, and you should be able to find that.
And we promise we'll make some updated ones.
We'll make some more. Yeah, we'll make an update to those.
All right. So next.
No, but before we go past calisthenics. Before we go past calisthenics, I also want to tell you that as you go up in your ability to do body exercises, I would very highly recommend 2 things I want to mention is get bands. These are like basically bands. Like rubber bands, but thick exercise bands. You can carry them to wherever you travel because they don't weigh anything. And yet you can do very effective exercises with these. You can hold the bands down and then pull them up and so on and so forth. So the bands are really good. And the last but not least, the people who are really fairly decent in their calisthenics, what they can do is if you don't have a gym to go to, you can just buy a El Cheapo what is it called, the pull-up bar. And you don't have to do full pull-ups if you cannot do that. You can just hang from that or just pull up just a little bit or put a stool underneath it and stand on the stool, hold the bar and walk off the stool. So when you walk off the stool, you will try to pull yourself up as much as possible. So that's another way of kind of like incrementally increasing your strength, shoulder strength, back strength and chest strength. So that is as far as calisthenics is concerned. What's the next one? The next one I think is the most appropriate.
Final category is my favorite, which is aerobic exercise. And aerobic basically means using oxygen. So that's how I remember, because you're breathing harder when you're doing aerobic exercise. You're getting your heart pumping, and you're moving oxygen to every part of your body and making it healthy. So I think most people probably think about things like jogging, riding a bike, that sort of thing. But there's, even simpler things you can do. Running in place, you can do jumping jacks, you can do, again, going up the stairs, kind of everyday activities. But we want to reinforce the fact that a casual walk around the block, we would not consider aerobic exercise. I mean, it's good. Please do keep doing your walks, but exercise to the point where it's aerobic and it's benefiting your body should really be to where you are out of breath. Like, you can't carry on a full conversation with someone on the phone or with whomever you're walking with. That is considered aerobic exercise. If you're lucky enough to have a smartwatch or something that's monitoring your heart rate, even better. But a good rule of thumb is, if you can't get through a full sentence because you're
breathing
kind of moderately out of breath, that means that you're appropriately working your heart. Of course, you should not be having chest pain. That's a whole other issue. Anyway, one aerobic exercise that I think is not recognized as much, that I think is honestly the perfect exercise if you're lucky enough to have access to it, is swimming. I know a lot of people don't have access to it, but if you do, I would prefer you do that over everything else, because not only are you getting aerobic exercise, you're also strengthening your muscles because you're using the resistance of the water, and you're not stressing your joints out. So I think that is the most perfect exercise, but of course not everyone has access to it.
And I cannot let a single podcast go without talking about some study or the other.
Oh, I was waiting for it.
Sorry.
I was starting to get uncomfortable.
I know. So for years, I've been doing a type of exercise called HIIT. I'm sure a lot of people know what that is. That is HIIT, which is high intensity interval training. What that means basically is that you run for a length of time, let's say 30 seconds or so.
Not even run, you just do some kind of aerobic exercise. It doesn't have to be running.
Yeah, you're right. Some kind of aerobic exercise. You can do jumping jacks, for example, for 30 seconds or a minute, and then you stop for 30 seconds or a minute, and then again you do it. So you do repeat it again and again, like 15-20 times, and you're done. It's considered to be more effective than simply running or simply doing jumping jacks or simply skipping rope. It's better because you're increasing your heart rate, decreasing it, increasing it, decreasing it, and so on. Apparently that's very effective. However, here is good news for people who don't want to hear what I just said. The good news is that if you just do the same thing by simply walking fast and slow, it does the same darn thing in terms of your effectiveness of dropping your blood pressure and so on. So those are kind of things that we have not talked about, like benefits, but we will talk about it in a future episode perhaps.
And I want to put one more plug in for you. Talking about HIIT or interval reminds me, if you, like me, are afraid of or not too fond of, or used to be not too fond of jogging, long distance running, if you Google couch to 5K, that is a great introduction into long distance running, if that's something you're interested in.
It's an app, right?
There's like several different types of apps. There's different, you don't even need the app. You can just download like a schedule to teach you how.
Okay.
Anyway, I think that's how I got into running. And now I am still not particularly fast, but I definitely enjoy it a lot more after learning how to pace yourself with a couch to 5K. So that's just one plug for that.
And as far as aerobic exercise is concerned, I guess we've gone through the least, like people who have not much ability to do aerobic exercise, they can just do the fast walking and slow walking, right? That's the most effective. And then people who are, moderately, have moderate ability to run, they can actually run. Keep in mind that if you feel that you cannot run, it's perfectly fine, especially if it hurts your knees or if it hurts your ankles or any
your
other
back,
joints or your back. If it hurts your back or knees or any joints, please stop, because it's not appropriate for you. You should try to do fast walking or some other form of exercise, some other form of aerobic exercise is good for you. And then people, of course, who have greater ability, they can just, I guess, and if they are well trained and they can sustain runs, then nothing like it. Go ahead and do running. One other thing I want to mention is low impact aerobics is also extremely useful, which I did not want to skip, which is, for example, things like cycling or rowing, or what is that, skiing, what is that thing, Nordic track. There was a company called Nordic Track. They used to make these ski machines that you stand there and simulated cross-country skiing. So those kind of things are low impact, and that will not hurt your knees at all, and those are great ones to do. Cycling or what is it called, standing cycling, or what is it, stationary bike, is a fantastic one, because it does not hurt your knees or anything, and you can do that. One thing I do want to mention, now that we finished all the categories, is what type of exercise, Dr. Jenny, is most appropriate for health benefits?
Well, I'm going to stop you there and say I think we've rambled on enough for part 1.
Okay.
So why don't we get into that more in part 2?
Okay.
And we'll leave people with this amazing cliffhanger.
Yes,
I can see them waiting with bated breath.
You're right.
So let's not keep them waiting anymore.
Yeah. So in 3 days' time, we will publish part 2. So please stay tuned. Thank you so much. Hope you have a
lovely songbird-filled day. We really hope you enjoyed our conversation. Can you think about one thing or an idea that you can start to introduce into your own life that will help make your life healthier and less stressful?
If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd really appreciate it if you can take a few seconds to share the podcast with your friends and family. Thank you so much for listening.
And always remember, your health is literally in your own hands. Making lifestyle changes is not an easy task, but we promise you will be aptly rewarded with a long, healthy, and disease-free life.